Hey everyone, welcome to today's Rise and Win Tips broadcast with your host, Rise and Win Coach Cynthia Newell of Dare to Dream Spiritual Life Coaching Practice. I am so honored to be here today to share in this broadcast a rise and win tip that helps you or makes you feel valued, heard, or understood. For those who are joining for the first time, I want to say welcome. Thank you for joining my broadcast. Every Monday, I come here between 9 and 10 a.m. to support you with releasing internal struggles effortlessly so that you can walk in newness. That's what Rise and Win stands for. And that's what I coach my clients to do so that their vision has full expression in their lives. As women visionaries who are also or may be working women, moms, wives, sometimes our vision and the things that we hold near and dear to our heart can get lost. And so as a Rise and Win coach, I've lived that, and God has allowed me to develop systems in my life that helps me to stay committed to the vision, to the dreams that God has put in me, conceived in me, so that they can be birthed out. And so that's what I do as a coach. I support women visionaries who have a big vision, but feel lost or last in their life, that they don't have enough time for that vision to manifest. I teach them how to release those struggles internally and in their outer world so that their vision has full expression in their life. And my only goal is to support you with creating a life that you look forward to waking up to. And so I'm honored that you're here with me. Even if you're watching the replay, I'm honored that you took the time to get some information that's going to help you in your life rise and win. And so this month's theme, we have been talking about rise and win tips, self-care tips for women visionaries. And this is in honor of Women History Month, Women History Month. As women, we have come a long way. We face some opposition, but the pioneers that fought for women's rights, they faced opposition as well. They went against some big giants in their life. And when you do that, along with managing your day-to-day responsibilities, being concerned about your health, and if God forbid, if you have kids, you need to take care of yourself. And so I thought, how befitting to focus on self-care tips for women who are aspiring to do great things in their life. And sometimes that great thing is just waking up, getting out of the bed and facing the world, because maybe you face some hardships or tough times and you've been depressed or down and you don't really feel like interacting with the world. This is what these tips are designed to do, to help you, to support you and pushing past those feelings and moving out in the world boldly and bravely as you were created to do. And so if you missed any of the previous broadcasts, last week's broadcast is still on my page, Dare to Dream Spiritual Life Coaching. You can get the replay there, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Dare to Dream, and you can catch the replays there. But so far, we've talked about self-care tips that make you feel loved, make you feel special. And I've shared a few self-care tips that help you to feel free. I don't know if you've ever had it where you just feel like you never have enough time to even sit down and think, to process your thoughts, to just process life. Where am I? What am I doing? To reprioritize. And so I shared a tip with you that will help you own your time, so that you can feel more freer in your life. And today I'm going to share a tip on how to feel valued, a self-care tip on how you can feel valued and loved in your life. I don't know about you, but I have had relationships with individuals who don't, if you face like a bump in the road, they don't let you speak freely. They don't let you share how you're feeling. They interrupt you, or sometimes they won't answer the phone. If you're talking to them, they just keep cutting you off and trying to get you to see things from their perspective. And that can make you feel down. That can make you feel depressed. It can also cause those thoughts of, I don't matter. If you've dealt with some thoughts like I'm not good enough in your past, those thoughts can come back up. They can resurrect themselves, and before you know it, you can go down into this tunnel of depression, because all you really want to do is be heard. And so if you have strong-willed people, dominant people in your lives who do not listen to you, I have a tip for you today so that you can feel heard, you can feel valued, you can feel understood. You take the time to put this tip into action. I promise you that it will work, because I've tried it for myself. Even in my relationship, I have two daughters, 20 and 21. But when your kids are in their teens, that can be really a challenging time to parent your kids, because they feel like they know everything. If you say something, they have their little rebuttal already prepared. You can't really get a word in edgewise, and that can cause frustration, and it could cause a distance in your relationship, because you as a parent, you know that your intention is to support your kids, make sure that they don't have hardships that you may have experienced, make sure that their life is not unnecessarily hard. But when you have a child that won't listen to you, it can make it challenging for you to really be an effective parent. And so this model that I'm going to share with you today is something that I did often with my children. Welcome. Thank you for being here. There's something that I did with my children, and even in my relationships with loved ones. You know, I have loved ones who are, hi Keisha, thank you for being here. Loved ones who are very strong-willed, they're very dominant, and if we have a disagreement, then they're not really willing to listen. And so instead of walking around with your stomach in knots, instead of walking around frustrated, feeling like no one cares about you, instead of walking around feeling as though your voice does not matter, this tip that I'm going to share with you is so simple, but it's very effective. So if you have a parent who does not listen to you, they don't let you share how you feel from your perspective, you have a parent that's kind of got that old school model, kids should be seen and not heard, this is going to help you be able to communicate. It's important to be able to communicate in a way that you feel regarded. And so as with my children, when they were in their teens and they didn't really want to listen to what mama had to say, the advice I had to give them to help them not make the mistakes that I saw that they were getting ready to make, my tip for you is to write it out. Write a letter to that person, to that loved one, and go all out in that letter. And when you write the letter, here are some tips for you in writing your letter. When you write the letter, of course, you want to recall the experience, share with them, hey, try to have a conversation with you in this manner, but it just did not seem to work. And so I thought that I would write this letter to you to help you understand where I'm coming from, how I feel, give you insight on my position. When you write a letter, the benefits of writing a letter, of course you want them to read it. So you pray, before you send them the letter, thank you. It's really been effective in my life. Writing letters, it helps me get out what I need to say uninterrupted. And when you do that, you feel valued, you feel heard, and you feel understood. And when you write the letter, what happens is if they read it, and if, like I was saying, you pray and you ask God that they read the letter, and that their heart be tender to receive what's in the letter. And before you even write the letter, I'm gonna back up just a minute. You want to make sure that you are positioned in love. What is your intention for the letter? So set your intention for the letter. The intention is, I want to be heard. The intention is, I just want to share my perspective, where I'm coming from. I just want us to have a mutual understanding of each other. Set your intention. If your intention is to go off on them, if your intention is to make them feel bad, then the fruit from that intention is going to be something that you're not going to want to eat. You're not going to bear good fruit if your intention is not whole and loving. So you want to set the right intention for the letter. What do you intend for this letter to do for the reader? And then when you're writing the letter, you want to position it in love, of course, that's your intention. But then you want to share, the experience, what has happened, and what your goal is with this letter. You want to give the reader some action steps, to take in the letter. If you are open, and this is one that I used a lot when I wrote to my children, my siblings, my mom, my father, my husband. If you're open to us listening to one another and getting an understanding of one another, respecting each other's position, then let's talk. And you give them a date and a time, and you be committed to showing up that day and that time. But writing a letter is going to allow you to release what's in you, because I'm a living witness. When you hold things in, it turns into sickness. It turns into dis-ease. And then that manifests in your cancers and your asthmas and your headaches that you can't never get rid of, and so you want to release, your feelings, and you want to do it in a loving manner. And writing a letter, my children will tell you, they will testify and tell you they have so many letters from mom when they were in their teen years, when I just felt like I could not get through to them. They felt like I was not listening to them. I wrote them a letter to help them better understand. And then I set the expectation of when we would discuss this. And when we met again, for the conversation, the heart and the mind was clearer. They were more receptive to receive what I had to say, and I was more receptive to what they had to say. And if you felt that it still was not going to go in a productive way, you can ask them in the letter to respond to you in a letter. And so a sure way to help you feel regarded, to help you feel loved and heard and understood when you have opposition in your relationships, and you feel as though the person or the persons, they're not listening to you, they're not receptive to what you're saying, they're disregarding you and your positioning, write it out. That's my tip for today. Write it out in a letter, and give it to them. And before you write the letter, set an intention for the letter. What do I intend for this letter to do? Position yourself in love when you write the letter, knowing that and what I mean by position yourself in love is what fruit, keeping in mind the fruit that you want this letter to bear. Is it closure? Do you want this letter to bear reconciliation? Do you want this letter to bear understanding? Do you want this letter to bear ending? Do you want to end something? So when you position yourself and you set the intention, you position yourself in love, only love can come back to you. If they respond in an unloving way, that doesn't have anything to do with you. Nothing no one does has anything to do with you unless you make it about you. What book is that from? If someone can tell me what book is that from, I will send you a free gift by mail. But nothing no one does has anything to do with you unless you make it about you. So if their response is not in love, that's not because of you. That's because of them. And so then you know how to pray for them. You know how to interact with them. But I want you to feel heard. And I want you to feel understood and regarded in your life, because when you don't, then those thoughts of I'm not good enough, something's wrong with me, starts playing in your head. And then before you know it, it can start trickling in other parts of your life. And so I want you to rise. I want you to win in this life. And in order to win, you got to know how to play the game of life. And that's the sole purpose of me meeting you here every Monday, to give you rise and win tips that will help you do that. And so I want to hear from you. If today's broadcast has been a blessing to you, if you had an aha moment, or you have that challenging relationship, or your relationship is going through a challenge right now and you need to write that letter, I want to hear from you. If you need support, let me know how I can support you. And so before I end the broadcast, I want to see if there are any questions. And even if you're watching the replay, if you have questions, you could post them on this live and I will respond to you personally. But while I'm waiting to see if there are any questions, I want to invite you all to like my YouTube channel. On my YouTube channel, I have a lot of rise and win tips there. I have my podcast, From Powerless to Powerful. You could catch all of the shows there. It was a podcast that I did for 2 years, and God really blessed me to have some great guests on the show, guests that helped you deal with low self-esteem, guests that help you deal with walking by faith. If you felt hopeless in your marriage, I had a pastor on, talked about, how to overcome a hopeless marriage. So it's a lot of tools and tidbits there, a lot of wisdom and insight available. And you can find me on YouTube at Dare to Dream with Cynthia Newell. And for those of you who are in the St. Louis area, I want to invite you to my 3rd annual Sisterhood Empowerment Walk that will be taking place Saturday, April 27th. And so more information will be on my website, which is cynthiasnewell.com. And so I'm looking for vendors to come who want to expand their brand, who wants to generate more income, and who wants to connect with more like-minded people. And so if you have a product or a service and you want to get in front of an audience of women, entrepreneurs, mothers, professional women, if your product serves that demographic, connect with me. Connect with me at Cynthia SN 2013 at gmail.com. Okay. Well, until next week's broadcast, I want you guys to make it a great day on purpose. Know that you deserve, I'm going to lean in when I say this, you deserve to start waking up to a life that you love. And it's my desire to support you with doing that. Thank you for joining today's broadcast. I look forward to talking with you all throughout the week, and you take care.